Today on Locked On Red Wings, Moritz Seider's show of strength leads to Detroit's first season sweep of the Toronto Maple Leafs since 2010-11.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And you can listen to this podcast wherever you get those podcasts, including on YouTube, or if you'd like to listen to us ad-free, go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club. Sign up for that aforementioned Everydayer Club, and you can listen to it ad-free, as well as get access to an exclusive Discord in which you can talk to Scotty and I. Scotty, how you feeling today?
I'm fired up, baby. That is an absolute beauty. Not only was that just a effing phenomenal hockey game. Like, the league has to be so pumped that, two of, if not the two biggest markets were going up against each other on national TV and produced that game. You know, low scoring, but a lot of opportunities, good goaltending, physical, overtime, and then the game winner. Everything about that absolutely rocked, and that is a sweep of Toronto. And we'll take that around these parts.
It's their first sweep of the Toronto Maple Leafs since joining the Eastern Conference. And I said in the cold open, their first season sweep since 2010, 2011, right? It's kind of like sweep asterisks because they only played one game that season and Detroit won. So a very brief season sweep. They were in the Western Conference back then, and with how the schedule went, you only played one game against each other for a long time. So it's really their first legitimate season sweep. I don't know, and I'm trying to look. 1995 and 1996, they played 5 games against each other in which Detroit won all 5. So if you want to get granular about it, their first legitimate sweep since the year I was born, 1996. Not counting a few one-game seasons where they won the one game. That's pretty crazy.
It is incredibly crazy.
And it was a great game. I mean, honestly, from both teams. I tweeted it out after the end of the third period as they were heading to overtime. I wanted to get it in before emotions took hold. It's like, this has been an incredible game by both teams. Just an absolute track meet. 40 shots for the Red Wings, 30 for Toronto. I think Toronto probably had the higher quality chances, while Detroit opted to pepper the net, and they got plenty of good quality chances of their own right as well. Just a great game all the way around. And, of course, the good guys came out on top as the Red Wings continue to find ways to win in overtime. They're not winning a ton in regulation, it feels like, lately. They won against Ottawa in overtime just the game prior. But it was a really, really good game, a really, really fun game. And, I mean, capped off with what has to be the storyline, right? Scotty and Moritz Seider.
Yeah, I think there's 2 very obvious storylines in this one. And I think one is Seider and one is Gibson. This was... I think you can use the word dominant for Seider's performance. I think that's probably fair. If it's not dominant, it's borderline. Not only just like the crazy play, but the entire game. I mean, you saw his impact. There was it the second period, the start of the second, when Toronto had an opportunity? Seider follows the puck and gets a huge poke check right before they score. He consistently was getting, honestly, his stick on the puck really the entire game, and then obviously the big play at the end. Yeah, that was. I think I am going to use the word dominant.
It was dominant, and this is one of those moments. Like, that's a marquee moment on national television that if Moritz Seider wasn't already on people's maps for the Norris conversation, he is now. Because all game long, they were talking about, and shout out TNT, for this one specific thing, is they were giving Moritz Seider the love he deserved in that hockey game, talking about how dominant he was defensively. And to Moritz Seider's credit, he was backing it up the entire game. Every time the Leafs tried to come across the zone on his side of the ice, he would just strip the puck and go back up ice on it. There was a time where late in the game where Austin Matthews was coming down the wing, and that's when the collision happened with John Gibson.
Yeah.
And he came across, stripped the puck from Austin Matthews, and went back up. Went back up the ice the other way. Another time where he stripped the puck in a high danger area, and it looked like he had an opportunity to kind of curl up the far side boards up in the pressure, and he just curls back behind the net, goes. Escapes pressure and easy breakout. Like, he was doing that all game defensively. So to see him step up in the offensive zone in overtime against, albeit 20-year-old Easton Cowan. I mean, Moritz Seider is like a veteran at this point in his career, right? 24-year-old veteran, but he's in his, fifth season in the NHL, fourth or fifth season in the NHL, and he just used all of his weight to push Easton Cowan off the puck, create a 2-on-0 with Dylan Larkin, deferring to Dylan Larkin, who's the more notable goal scorer, who finishes it off. But that play was all Moritz Seider. And that moment on national television is exactly, if you want to be serious about a Moritz Seider-Norris campaign, that's a moment. That is a Norris moment.
It's a Norris
for Moritz
moment.
Seider.
It really is.
It was absolutely great.
You've heard of Heisman moment. This is a Norris moment.
Well, and he led the Red Wings in nightly game score as well, 2.45. He also led the league as of right now. We're recording this at 10:45, so the West Coast games have to finish. But as of right now, he leads the league in nightly game score at 2.45 as well. He's been really good. There's not really much else you can say about Seider besides that. Oh, after the goal, did you see that McCabe tried to level him? The same player who leveled Raymond and instead fell flat on his butt because Seider's a wall.
Yeah.
It was a great little moment right after the goal got scored.
There was a lot of great moments in this game.
Right. And also, Scotty, I know we want to talk about Gibson, but while we're talking about the top pair, Simon Edvinsson had one hell of a game himself too.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've seen that all year, and I think it's – I said this a few weeks ago, but it should not be lost on people that Seider's massive, leap into the stratosphere this year has come because not solely because, but part of that certainly is due to the fact that he can actually somewhat trust his partner on a night-to-night basis, which I think there's an argument he has literally never been able to do in his NHL career. I mean, right. And that's not disrespect to Sherratt, who was serviceable, but there's a big difference, especially right now, between the level of play of Ben Sherratt night to night and Simon Edvinsson night to night. And I think that, when he made his debut, he was thrown out there with Danny DeKeyser. This is a guy who has kind of, and Wallman was really good for half a year, right? They did well together, but this is a guy that finally has another defenseman that is really good at defense for maybe the first time since he got called up. And I think that goes a long way, being able to actually trust the other guy you're out there with to be in the right spot and know what to do in situations so that you can, control and focus on your own game, I think matters. And so I completely agree with you. I think this was a great game for him, and it's been a great kind of leap forward season for him as well.
Well, and you talked about how playing with Simon Edvinsson has kind of given Moritz Seider that boost he needed in the Norris conversation. It's absolutely a two-way street, too, because Simon Edvinsson was struggling with Axel Sandin-Pellikka early in the season. Yeah. Plays with Moritz Seider, and now he, the same exact thing you just said about Moritz Seider to Simon Edvinsson, vice versa. Edvinsson has a defensive partner that he has 100% full faith in. So each player can play a lot more free of a game because they know they can trust their partner. Simon Edvinsson was jumping up in the play in the offensive zone like crazy in this hockey game because he knows if, one, he gets caught, he has forwards who are going to come back most of the time. And then, two, if no forward does, the one defenseman that's back is quite possibly top 5, top 3, maybe number 1 defensive defenseman in the NHL.
Yeah.
That's a great feeling it must have. Simon Edvinsson scored the one lone regulation goal in this to tie up the game with 17 seconds left. It was a great play, defensive zone face-off win by Marco Kasper as Larkin got booted out, I think. They seemed unsure on the broadcast as well exactly why Kasper's taking the draw.
Larkin's been booted out so much lately. It's ridiculous.
I want to know
Mickey Redmond
why.
says, "Drop the puck, fellas. All right, let's get
crazy.
this show on the road." Seriously, he's been kicked out so much lately. It's absurd.
It is absolutely absurd. They won the faceoff. They come back down the ice. Dylan Larkin gets the puck along just across the blue line, feeds it to Raymond, who I did not think that there was a defenseman trailing that play. And come to find out, there's Simon Edmondson, Johnny on the spot, buries it. So great game from that top pair. Definitely the leading storyline. But Scotty, you kind of hinted at it you didn't hint at it, you just outright said it at the very start of the show. John Gibson's the other big storyline in this hockey game. We'll talk about him at the start of segment 2. So stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. There's nothing like being near the ice during hockey season. The speed, the hits, the atmosphere, it's unmatched. Watching at home is great, but being in the building is a completely different experience. The only thing that used to get in the way was actually getting tickets. Long queues, endless screens, and prices changing at checkout. That's why the Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing NHL tickets and experiences in just a few taps. I pulled up the Game Time app to check out upcoming NHL games, and I was surprised how fast it was to find great seats. But the best part about Game Time is that the fees are included up front. You don't get to check out and then see your price that you thought you were going to pay double because there's all kinds of fees added on. Those fees are included when you pick the seat from the seat view. And on top of that, you can view your seat from that seat view before buying, so you know exactly what site you're getting. And then with the zone deals, you pick the section, and then the section will tell you the best seats available at that time. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Scotty, John Gibson just continues his tear since December 1st. He makes 30 saves in this hockey game for a save percentage of .968. You know, it gets to a point, and we've talked about this with certain players this season, and it's been a great ride. It's a fun times in Hockey Town right now as the Red Wings are yet again tied atop the Atlantic Division. Again, Tampa has games in hand, but still, we are not complaining by any stretch of the imagination. It gets to a point, though. What more good things can you say about John Gibson? Because he has been legitimately the second best goaltender in the league since December 1st.
Yeah, I don't know if there is anything more to say about him. I know that you made a graphic and kind of tweeted it out, but we are approaching him being mentioned in like Vezina conversations. Now, that doesn't mean that he's like going to be the favorite to win it or that he will win it. But, you know, 3-5 people get votes every year. Like, I think we're at least approaching that conversation. We might not even be in that conversation yet because there's still a bad start that he's going to have to, you know, kind of have dragging down his numbers throughout the year. But he has legitimately been one of, if not the best goaltender in hockey since the start of December. I mean, we're going on 2 straight months of that now. And if he can stay that hot going into the Olympic break and, you know, kind of get some hype around him coming out of the Olympic break for the rest of the season and the playoff push, I really think that also might be a conversation that gets a little bit hotter. And I think that nights like tonight Nights like tonight are why, you know, they kind of highlight, I guess, why you need Gibson to be maybe not like, you know, sustain this level of play throughout, but like he needs to be really good. That was the whole point of this. The whole point of acquiring him and going out to bring him in was so that you could have a bell cow in net that you knew you could trust every night and that was going to play a majority of games. You know, unless it's a back-to-back, he's out there. And that is what the Wings have received for almost, you know, 8 straight weeks now. And that is a really, really big deal for not only Gibson, obviously, but for the Wings. Like, I mean, DeBrincat said it the other night. Like he's probably been their best player for the last 2 months, and they are not in the situation that they are in without his level of performance being what it has been. So, yeah, I mean, again, I'm not saying he needs to maintain necessarily this caliber for the Wings to be successful, but he's a big piece to the puzzle. And I think that stretches like this and in games like this specifically, really prove it. He had a lot of big saves, kept a really good offense to 1 goal against that had over 30 shots on him. And, had 4 or 5 off the top of my head, really big high danger opportunities that he was able to stop. And then even the 1 goal against was not his fault, even in any universe. That was just complete, just backdoor defensive breakdown. So, yeah.
ASP rimming the puck around to nobody because JVR had flown the zone, was in the neutral zone.
Yeah,
and
JVR
back. It was
just waltzing out of the zone.
Right. Well, ASP has to make a heads up play there, has to know that that guy's not there, but also at the same time, they play a system. You're depending on your winger to be there.
For sure.
So, 50-50.
Yeah.
JVR, ASP on that one. But we're not complaining about the 1 goal they gave up in this hockey game. We're talking about how John Gibson was fantastic. A goal saved above expected of 2.78 in this hockey game, Scotty. Now, I don't think this is updated after tonight's game, but coming into the night's game, Scotty, John Gibson has a .904 save percentage. Scotty, I believe we said when the season began, if John Gibson can give the Red Wings a .905 save percentage, above league average last season, league average is actually lower than that this year, then the Red Wings have a legitimate shot to make the playoffs. Well, not only does he have a .904 save percentage, which is good for 18th in the league right now, because imagine that when you filter out the goalies who have made less than 20 starts, who are basically splitting their net, he is sitting 18th in the league in save percentage. When you filter it from December 1st, he is the second in the league in save percentage behind only Ilya Sorokin, who has a save percentage of .931, and John Gibson has a save percentage of .929. There might be a new leader after tonight. We have to see how the numbers shake out, but 30 shots, 1 goal against, it's only going to go up. It's getting close. Sorokin's given up a goal today on 14 shots already, so I literally have the game on.
Yeah, I know. I was like, "What? What are you looking at?" I was like, "Oh, he probably has the game literally on TV right there." Yeah.
Yep. So he's up there with the elite of the elite since December 1st. Obviously, the thing that's going to be holding him back is how he started the season. But if the Red Wings make the playoffs and he stays, I'm not expecting him to stay astronomically good like he is now, but he stays really good for the rest of the season. I'm not saying he's going to win the Vezina. I think it's Sorokin's to lose.
Yeah. Again, I don't think he will either. But there's no reason
might get a couple votes.
You don't see a Vezina-4 or something on his hockey ref page.
Even if it's Vezina-6,
right? Yeah,
he might be getting Vezina votes. Is my point here.
Yeah,
so
and that's right.
He's been great.
That's incredible given how the start was.
I wonder where his against all goaltending now, and that depends on how fast that evolving hockey updates their goal saved above expected tables, because he started the year, he was bottom 15 in the league, and I know according to HockeyStats.com, which is Jay Fresh and Bacon's model, he is top 10 in the league already. Wonder where he is at now. He's 26th according to Evolving Hockey at 11.61. Just an incredible journey he's had from one of the league's worst goaltenders for the first month and a half to the list last month and a half, most recent month and a half, being lights out. Incredible. All right, Scotty, I'm rambling. I'm just talking good things about John Gibson.
No, that's nothing wrong with that, brother.
What else do you have as a notable performer from this hockey game?
We can talk about the captain. That was a pretty incredible move there at the end, man. He is he's pretty good at hockey. That's going to be my take. That Dylan Larkin guy, he's all right.
Yeah, that was a really nice goal. He had a nice secondary assist on the first goal, too, so a 2-point night for Dylan Larkin. That first one being at 5-on-5 again, as that top line finally begins to kind of find its groove again. Casper's been a really nice fit on that top line, I feel, because it feels like he's got his confidence back. And confidence goes a heck of a long way. He hit that 2-point night, and ever since then, that line's been producing more. They come out of this game with a 52% shot share in this game, shot attempt share, playing against Austin Matthews' line. Austin Matthews obviously having really woken up as of late, getting back to how he has been. I think they said beforehand like 10 goals in 10 games, something ridiculous like that. And then I really liked the second line and the fourth line in this hockey game. I thought they were phenomenal.
You always love the fourth line. I'm going to give you a t-shirt that says, I love the fourth line.
Listen, expected goal share.
This is always the reason why. This dude is so predictable.
In 10.5 minutes at 5-on-5, they attempted their opponents 14-7, outshot their opponents 8-2, and had an expected goal share of 75%. The second line, Andrew Kopp, Alex DeBrincat, and Patrick Kane, always creative in the offensive zone, had an expected goal share of 75% as well. Both those lines have been consistently the Red Wings' best puck possession lines time and time again, every game. They're doing it differently, though. It's actually fascinating to watch. Second line gets out there. Andrew Kopp gets behind the net. He grinds out the puck, and then it's setting up DeBrincat and Kane, who set up each other for huge opportunities. And then they keep the puck in the zone with a cycle. When the fourth line gets in the zone, Scotty, it's all three of them just grinding it out against the boards below the goal line. And then maybe by the end of the shift, they'll get like one shot attempt on net in tight. They don't get a lot of shots, but they do grind the ever-living hell out of their opponents. And it would be nice if they contributed a goal here and there, but there is something to be said about wearing your opponents down, because sometimes that draws penalties.
Yeah, of course. Well, and I don't know. Out of a fourth line, I don't need like a goal a night. I think that's a pretty unrealistic like standard to be like, oh, like they got to be producing all the time. But if you are consistently getting opportunities and/or, I mean, as you put, like preventing shots, maybe drawing a penalty here or there, that's great. I have zero issue with their level of production. They've been incredibly good, and even if it's not resulting in a ton of changes in the scoreboard or anything like that, that's okay. Like, they don't need to be that every night to be a successful fourth line. I think they do a lot of things right, and it's hard because I really want Soderblom to get more of a look and more of an opportunity, because I think he's been so good. But at the same time, I don't really want to mess with the mojo of what they got going on down there. Like, all of them are, have been really productive playing with each other. So, maybe you just let it ride, and I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, Soderblom's one of those guys. It's just like, I really want him to find the back of the net, because every game it feels like he's so close to scoring, and then every game it just slips away. And it's been that way all year. Kind of like Casper was for a little bit last year when he was playing on the third line before McClellan got hired and they put him up there on the top line. It's just like every game you notice him out there, but he just can't score. Scotty, we got to talk about the Minnesota Wild, so let's head to a break and we'll preview that game coming up next. Detroit now flies to Minnesota across a time zone to play the very next night at 9:30 p.m. When we recorded last week, the Red Wings led the league in back-to-backs at 10. Now, there's been a week between then, and I know they were tied for the league at the time, so I don't know who has the current lead. But this will now be their 11th back-to-back before the Olympic break, and it's probably, I got to imagine it's their toughest one. It's another day of travel, the next night in a different city, in a different time zone against one of the league's best teams this regular season in the Minnesota Wild. It's going to be a tough one for the Detroit Red Wings. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to the Minnesota Wild that much, Scotty, but Vladimir Tarasenko, after starting the season pretty ice cold, he has 8 points in his last 4 games, 5 goals, 3 assists.
Yeah, he I think it was right before the new year, maybe, or right after the new year. He had a crazy highlight goal too that made its rounds on Wings Twitter. Yeah, I mean, the Wild are really good, and this is a team that the Wings have a better record because wagon. But no, this is obviously a really good hockey team. I think there's a few things that stand out. One is special teams. Their penalty kill has actually been terrible this year, bottom 5 in the NHL, which is interesting considering they have maybe the best overall goalie situation in the entire NHL. If not number one, it's certainly top two. Really, like whoever has been in net for them this year has been fantastic. So kind of interesting to see. So like a team save percentage of almost 905 is remarkable. But then a penalty kill that's, fifth worst in the NHL. Now, the other weird thing with their penalty kill is it's bad. However, they have the fewest PIMs a game in the entire league. They do not commit penalties. So they're rarely putting that unit out there, which is probably smart considering its lack of production. So, yeah, like this is a really good all-around team. They don't allow goals. You can get your opportunities. You can get your shots off against them, but not very many are going to go in. And it's a middle of the road, solid, kind of well-rounded offense to go with it. Obviously, Boldy is already kind of approaching 30 goals. Kaprizov approaching 40 assists. Like the usual suspects that you kind of assume are going to be their point producers are their point producers. And a lot of their success comes from the fact that they just, don't allow goals.
Yeah, their goaltending is absolutely unreal this season. Their 5-on-5 save percentage is amongst the best in the league as well. So you mentioned their penalty kill is one of the worst, but they're at 5-on-5, it's the third best save percentage in the league. Yeah. As their goaltending tandem has been unreal for them in Gustafsson and Wallstedt. 9-10
friend of the program
save percentage. Friend of the program.
Yes, for Wallstedt. Back when it was Nolan and I interviewed him in his draft year before he was drafted. You were absolute legend, dude. Absolute legend. And then the Wings took Kosa, and I think that Wallstedt's obviously been great, but Kosa's got a lot of hype around him right now too. So we'll kind of see how their careers pan out, but. Him and Gustafsson both have been absolutely. I think Gustafsson has over a 910 last time I looked, at least.
Gustafsson. They've both 910 and higher, I believe.
That's crazy to have two goalies in the modern game of hockey to have save percentages over 910 is just absolutely disturbing. So yeah.
Of note, though, the Wild have been a little streaky lately. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10, so they haven't been playing their best hockey. Another thing to keep an eye on is that's tangentially related to this game. Jonas Brodin is out until late February, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson left the Maple Leafs game and did not return. Two Swedish defensemen, Scotty. People were saying Simon Edvinsson was a snub. He might not be a snub for that much longer. So,
true.
Big game for the Red Wings. Second half of a back-to-back. Any final thoughts?
I don't think so, man. Go win a hockey game. Why not? I think that, like I said, the Wild are a good team, and they're a team that if the game stays low scoring, it's going to be hard to win just because they are really good in those situations. But hey, man, you get a couple of goals on the board early, and maybe you're able to kind of keep applying pressure and starve them off. We'll see. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. We ball, baby.
We do ball. We recapping this game on Friday's episode of Locked On Red Wings. So stay tuned. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.